Hello biggies and welcome to another hype train. Now it's been a long time since this particular train last rolled into the station, but I couldn't let the arrival of some monkish beers in the UK pass without doing a video. What are you doing, Bradley?
I'm just counting out what £50 look like, because that's what these three beers cost us, Johnny.
Yeah, we're going to see if they're worth £16.10
Ah, okay.
a can.
Whoa.
So Monkish, Bradley, this is a brewery we've tried before. We
Yes.
tried them at Rate Beer Best way back in 2016 when we visited Russian River, Bear Republic, Cellarmaker, some of our absolute favourite breweries. And we tried some of their beers at the festival. Tried some wonderful fruited saisons and stuff like that, because it wasn't long before 2016 that they had a sign up in their tap room that said no MSG, no IPAs. So I think that came from, you know, the fact that everybody would walk into a tap room and go, "What IPAs have you got?" And Monkish at the time were like, "We don't make IPA."
So they were setting their cards on the table. We're not an IPA brewery.
Yeah, I mean they're called Monkish, so I assume they thought they were like a Belgian-inspired brewery.
Trappist sort of vibe.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that kind of shifted. I think there's an article on Good Beer Hunting where he talks about the owner talks about the fact that he couldn't actually get any of the hops that he wanted to make these New England beers anyway, so they didn't go down that road. But once he started contracting them, they started making IPAs, and fuck me, they made a splash. Like, these are some of the most hyped up beers in the world when it comes to New England IPA.
Juice.
Yeah, and I remember them being very good at Rate Beer Best. So should we dig in and see if they're still that good?
What are we going to start with, Johnny? Because we've got an interesting lineup here.
A very varied mix of three IPAs. So we've got a single New England IPA.
Nice.
We'll get into what the hops are. We've got a single West Coaster.
Oh, come on.
From the West Coast.
Yes.
And then we've got a double New England IPA. So variation of a sort.
On a theme.
And we're going to start with this. So this is called Metal Bones.
Nice.
It's a single New England IPA, 7.2%, and it has Galaxy,
Yes.
Strata,
Yes.
and not coconut, Sabro.
Sure have a coconut. Amazing.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm hoping with the two other hops we've got Galaxy and Strata. Strata's a pretty new hop, very passion fruity and smooth.
Yeah.
It's got very smooth bitterness to it. And then Galaxy we know is big and raw and juicy. So I'm hoping the Sabro might be a bit of an accent.
Right, so yeah, we've got some interesting flavour compounds right there already. There's all these different things battling in the glass, hopefully, Johnny.
Do you know, weirdly, I remember when we were drinking these out on the West Coast, they were super pale, and they still are. Like,
that is pretty pale.
That is full-on yellow, not like beer yellow, but full-on yellow, and obviously hazy as a summer day is long.
It sort of reminds me of like a sort of cloudy cider.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Or just like pineapple juice if you just
Pineapple
pour
juice,
it. Yeah,
yeah, big time.
I mean, yeah, it's remarkable. Most beers will have a kind of slightly burnished orange to it. This is clearly super, super pale malts have been used.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Juice doesn't quite do that justice, does it? Justice. Doesn't do it justice.
Justice for this boy. Wow.
Really pineapple-y. I don't know whether that's the visual suggesting it, but I just get pure pineapple off of that.
Yeah, man. Really pineapple-y. So I drank a can of Lilt on the way over, and this is bringing me back to the sort of tropical pineapple.
Yeah. Are you getting any Sabro? Because Sabro's one of those hops that jumps out at people and people hate it.
I'm not a massive coconut fan. I'm not getting loads of Sabro, I don't think.
I think it's
Maybe
there.
that sort
or
of creaminess.
Creamy, yeah, vanilla-y suntan lotion, just the tiniest hint, but it is an accent, which is great.
Hawaiian tropic.
Exactly,
suntan.
very tropical, almost pina colada-y. Let's give it a go. Really smooth, almost tannic.
Yeah.
A little kind of white wine tannin to it. I didn't expect the body to be that light, particularly when it looks so milky. It doesn't feel like a really turbid beer at all.
No.
It's not got... I feel like the water treatment for this probably has been much more restrained, much less calcium chloride, much less of that pillowy kind of texture that you get from that is in there. It feels a little bit more West Coasty in its kind of texture.
Yeah, I really like the sort of delicate little bubbles that are in there. It's really... it's very pleasingly sort of tangy.
And then loads of that juice is there, but it feels more pithy, feels more grapefruity, more ting, if you
tingy,
will.
yeah.
And then a really quite long bitter finish as well. So I think there's been a really hefty dry hop that's left it drying out, possibly is contributing to that tannin thing. A bit of dryness. If you've got a lot in the dry hop, you can get a kind of powdery texture. But it's not unpleasant. A lot of powdery finishes are quite unpleasant, but with this, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's kind of it's pretty awesome because it's obviously got that a lot of sweetness going on, but then it's got the really bitter finish.
Yeah.
It's just hanging around.
So enjoyed that beer.
Yeah.
Quite surprising.
Unexpected.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit flawed. There was just that little hop tea powdery thing on the end, but pretty good. So now we're going to go West Coast.
Nice.
Never had a West Coast from Monkish. What I'm really, really hoping for is that it will look nothing like that beer.
Right.
I want it to be crystal clear. I want that orange colour. I want it to have a big, thick head and to be, Pliny-esque, a bit like our West Coast IPA, which we brewed.
Be all it can be.
There you go. Straight away, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
That's about right. I'm happy with that. Just a little bit of hop haze there, I think.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, for a beer these days, that's pretty clear, Johnny.
It's incredibly clear. Yeah, I mean, that's a clear beer, let's be honest. So it looks the part. It looks perfect. Huh.
Biscuity.
Biscuity. Really biscuity. Loads of like Munich or Cara or probably not crystal. Maybe crystal, actually. It's quite crystallized. So, light brown sugar, breadiness, and kind of, some grapefruit peel, but not massive amounts of hop. It is quite muted.
Not on the nose.
Certainly compared to that. Reminds me a little bit of Lagunitas IPA back in its golden days, like really crystally, and then like smatterings of grapefruit peel over the top. It's pretty good. But very, very, very old school.
Very old.
Yeah, much lower hopping rate, I reckon.
Cheers.
That's like going back in time, that is, isn't it?
That is, it's transported me. I feel like Guy Fieri now, sort of cruising the West Coast, looking for joints. This is awesome.
So this is Citra Simcoe Idaho 7. So Idaho 7, I think, is bringing loads of that peel kind of character. Simcoe can have like a creme caramel if you're American, like where there's original kind of sweetness to it, as well as all that dank and that pine. And I think that might be bringing some of that perceived sweetness. There's not a lot of Citra there, though. That's what I'd say. There's none of that classic Citra character to it.
So it's kind of that, it is that torpedo original Lagunitas IPA, sort of that kind of level of punch, but it feels quite gentle. It's like a warm embrace.
I think it's great. Like you said, it's transporting us, but I think just that initial aroma was a bit like,
Yeah,
I was looking.
confusing.
Yeah, I think a modern IPA needs that aromatic hit, even if it's not huge, and certainly it shouldn't be juicy, but it just needs a little bit more zest, a little bit more lift to it.
Yeah, it didn't have like the massive sort of pine forest resiny dank sort of thing on the nose either for me.
Yeah, I think it's a lovely beer, but I think I was expecting a bit more from a brewery so well known for getting like absolute monster loads of flavour out of their hops.
Yeah, we've had an Eastie, we've had a Westie. What have we got now, Johnny?
A biggie?
A biggie.
Hey, they could all be rap references. So we've had like actually quite a lot of contrast in those two beers. I wasn't expecting. I thought that this would be the thing that we get nowadays, which is a West Coast IPA that's not really a West Coast IPA. It's New England hop schedules, just a tweak to the malt bill and a different yeast. But that was a proper old school West Coaster. So there is variety in the IPA scene, and I think there is always an argument that we shouldn't call both these styles IPA because they're so wildly different.
Thank you.
But we're back on the oat milk / pina colada train. So this is Nelson Sauvan. Mm-hmm. This is Galaxy. So we've got two Antipodean hops.
Yes.
And then we've got Simcoe again. So we've had Simcoe in all of these beers.
Yes.
So clearly they love Simcoe.
Yes.
But here, so Nelson Sauvan, they say gooseberry. There's probably going to be some juiciness. Along with Galaxy, both of these are big, raw, bitter, gnarly hops and need time to sort of sit and mellow out, but can provide lots of really complex, unique flavours. And then Simcoe, which we know very well. What are you getting?
Fruity, Johnny. Very
really fruity again. This one's much more citric.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be maybe even bigger jumping out of me than it is, but...
You don't think that's big?
It's pretty big.
It's just not big enough.
I thought
we're at 8.5%.
Being a double boy, it was going to be real big. It does smell pretty big. I think it's just I'm so excited, Johnny, about getting excited
You're so
about
hyped.
hype
It's
train.
the problem with hype.
Yeah.
So I get mango and I get lime and I get grapefruit.
Ripe mangoes, real ripe mangoes.
Yeah, it's much less sort of dialed in. It's more complex. You could probably sniff at that for 5 minutes and keep getting slightly different things. But mango and lime are what I'm getting from that, and it's pretty delicious. It's good to go. Again, a much lighter body than most New Englands.
Yeah.
Which is kind of refreshing.
It's quite strange, Johnny. I'm not used to this. I'm confused by it.
Yeah, you expect to have it feel like your tongue's been coated in velvet, and it's it is a fuller body. But that seems to all come from the wheat and the oats, and I think just that water profile, they've just completely left it alone, and it means it feels so much lighter, brighter, zestier than most New Englands.
It's got a bit of that bitterness again.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the first one, and I feel like it's kind of easier to drink than a lot of New England IPAs because the perceived sweetness isn't as high for me in this as a lot of the other ones I've been drinking of late.
It's really interesting because I remember when we first got into New England IPAs and we were saying the lower bitterness means it's more drinkable. And actually slowly we've all learned that actually you need that bitterness and that structure to make it drinkable past one can.
Exactly.
But of course, with New England beers, rarely will you have the same can twice.
No.
So it's never really been an issue. You refresh your palate not with bitterness, but with a different beer. But it does mean that it is what meant that it felt a little bit thin in this one means that it feels absolutely perfect to me in this one. At 8.5, that lighter body is really appreciated because it keeps it light, prevents any kind of feel of sticky, boozy sweetness.
Yeah, exactly.
And it really, really works. And then that bitterness is nice again.
So there's a lot of balance in all of these beers, really. They're not
about as balanced as New England can get, I'd say. Yeah.
I'm kind of amazed, confused. I thought they would potentially be totally wacky, really, really sort of extremes of what a New England IPA could be. But they're quite refined. I mean, I should have known, really, obviously. It's Monkish and they've got a great reputation. But I think these might catch people out that are expecting total fireworks craziness. They're actually beautiful, delicious, sessionable beers. Although that's very dangerous at 8.5%.
Sessionable's a dangerous word at 7.2.
Yeah.
But much more drinkable, much more kind of pintable.
Yeah.
Pintable, careful, than you would expect from a hype brewery, I guess. And I'm kind of surprised that I thought that people really want that chewiness. And so for the fact that they've got such a great reputation based off of a beer that makes us go, oh.
Yeah.
Is quite a new thing on the hype train. Usually we get what we're expecting, and sometimes we get more and sometimes we get less. We've never had a moment where we've been like, oh. I do have to say that I think that bitterness, which I'm certain is coming from the dry hop, because it's lingering and powdery, I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather that bitterness, the bitterness hits you right up front like it did with this one, because it's come from early hop additions. It is a different bitterness, and I think it is a bit more drinkable if it is that kind.
Yeah.
But equally, I think that the fact there's any bitterness there at all is lovely. So I don't know whether a successful hype train is a hype train arriving or whether it's a hype train leaving the station, but what did you think of Monkish?
I mean, I feel like we both had a valid ticket to travel to Flavortown, Johnny, but I don't know whether this experience was as overwhelming as I was hoping it to be.
So you think, the hype is always a dangerous thing and didn't quite hit the hype, but for me it was all great beer.
Yeah, great beers.
Yeah. And I don't think we got a trip to Flavortown. I think we got a trip to Aromatown.
Maybe Aromatown.
Certainly with the New Englands. And then on this one we got a trip to Flavortown, but not necessarily Aromatown. So all of those beers I wasn't 100% happy with. But if I was in the tap room drinking them, I'd be like, this stuff is amazing.
Without a doubt. Always drink locally. And that brings us on to a great point. These have obviously travelled a long way. There are breweries that are probably down the road from you that are making amazing beers like this style. Buy them, drink them fresh. They're going to taste just as good.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess what I've taken away from this is I would love to visit Monkish. I would love to drink these beers bang fresh. But would I be really searching out this stuff if I hadn't tried it and I was in another part of the world? Probably not. And there have been some hype train beers where we have said, you probably should try and find this. less.
Yes.
And this one, I think they'd be beautiful in the location, and they certainly were surprising and unusual, and that needs to be applauded. But in terms of hunting them down, whale hunting, maybe less so.